Okay, call to order the July 23rd, 2024 meeting of the Concord Transportation Advisory Committee. Do a roll call. Mariana, you're muted. Raise your hand. Okay.
Present.
Okay, present. Laura.
I'm here.
Okay, Nick
Here.
and Marcos, myself. Okay, and we also have Terry Ackerman on the line, our liaison. And thanks to Heather for setting up, getting the Zoom going. So the only item really on the agenda is to finalize and approve the comment letter to MassDOT. I want to thank Laura again for doing the heavy lifting and getting a lot of the writing and stuff out there so we could do something. And last meeting, partly because of my initiative, we did a lot of shifting around. So I hope people have had a chance to kind of look at what we've got and come up with some uh, more tuning so we can get this approved today. So who would like to start with suggestions?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I see Laura.
Did Mariana go first? Go ahead.
Well, Laura raised her hand. Let me give Laura first chance because she drafted a lot of the wording.
Okay.
And I wonder how she feels it come together or not.
I think it's great. I think I support most of the changes that were made. There are a few bits that are repetitive, so I wonder if we might trim a little bit out. There are a couple of things that sort of appear twice. So I have some suggestions for bits to trim, but I'm happy to give Nick the floor if you want to give.
No, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you go ahead and trim first? Because I had the same reaction that there was too many times it said the same thing about something. I forget, whatever. So go ahead and do that.
Okay.
We'll probably agree on that, and then we can
let me try to pull the document up and see if we can.
Mark, I can do it. I've got it right here if you want,
okay,
and I've already got my suggested edits in.
Good, that's great. Thank you.
But Mariana, did you have any reactions?
Oh yeah.
Get into the nitty gritty.
My main points are just to kind of agree with that. There's nothing. None of this makes sense to talk about until the rotary has been analyzed. And agree with all the points we're making here. And if there's a way to emphasize that, what we really want is like a pedestrian bridge, that would improve intersection capacity. So I don't know if that's something that we can kind of like stick a plug in for some, MassDOT funding for a pedestrian bridge that would then not need to have all these same intersection considerations. But I think we're in a good place and like where this has gone.
Thanks, Mariana.
Okay, so Laura, that's a good point. I mean, there were some comments about non, at-grade crossings, but no specific mention of a pedestrian bridge as a possibility, and might not hurt to put that in because again, it didn't occur to me immediately. Let's go ahead, Laura. Oh, so you got it up there. Good. So yeah, Laura, go through what your suggestions for changes are, please.
My biggest structural change is I thought that we might just combine 1.2 and 1.3. They're very similar, and a lot of the language was repeated. And I know that one was calling out specifically connectivity between Concord Center and West Concord, but I just tried to make it simpler by saying future changes to Route 2 should enhance, not diminish, crosstown connectivity for all road users. And then I just sort of combined those two sections and made them a little bit more streamlined. I'm happy to read it, or I'm happy to let everybody read it.
What did you? Okay. Scroll down a little. Well, anyway, so the section starts. I'm sorry, scroll up.
I kept Nick's first paragraph as our like strong opener, and then I moved a bunch of the paragraphs up from the second section. And I think that that kind of captures everything that was in those two
Okay,
sections.
okay.
The only thing is that I kept and then I kept the at-grade intersections sort of like separate from those 2 points, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
just
so.
putting that there
Okay,
so
so
everybody.
there's, so you didn't add anything, you just basically deleted and moved things around.
Pretty much. I made a few little editing tweaks, like I
Good,
said.
okay.
Um,
Scroll
priority
down
is,
scroll down a bit.
yep.
Okay, scroll down some more. Okay, good.
These, and then we
Good.
can talk about this separately, but
I think that's a great idea. I was scanning through the draft this morning, and I was also feeling that that sort of second and third section were really the same thing. So I think that's very helpful.
Yes,
right.
agreed.
Okay. And
Were there any others, or is that the only area where you did this?
The other changes that I made is I just added shortened crossing distances to your list of design recommendations, because that was one of the ones that we talked about from the Walden Street intersection.
Yeah, good.
I just changed some of the language, but it's the same ideas here. And
Yep.
then all of this moved up. So it's sort of
Right.
just like, that's like a specific section about pedestrians. Although, Mariana, to your point, we could put into this section, like the ideal scenario would be to have grade separated
Now,
crossings.
I think keeping the big future not part of their scope and one thing at the end is a lot cleaner.
That works too for me.
yeah, I agree
Okay.
with that. But
Yeah.
I think it would be good to add in the pedestrian. And I assume that, I mean, like in Cambridge Crossing, near the Trader Joe's and all that, there's a bridge a big bridge that pedestrians and cyclists use to cross Memorial Drive. So I assume it would also be a facility for bicycles.
Definitely. I would hope so.
This is the section that we have about grade separated crossings down here. We could enhance this if we feel like this isn't enough. But this is, to Nick's point, in that last section about what was not included in the scope.
I think that's a good place to put the, pedestrian bicyclist bridge somewhere.
I think you could just add in say something like, for example, a pedestrian bicycle bridge at the Route 62 crossing would solve many of the concerns of the town of Concord.
I would definitely say pedestrian bridge because
Yeah, no, just, don't say grade separated path, that we've already said grade separated, just say a pedestrian bicycle bridge.
yeah,
It's a
I
lot
mean,
cheaper to build than an intersection.
yeah, if they have to tunnel and I mean there would be
No,
relatively minimal impact to the Route 2 traffic compared to digging or
Right.
building an overpass or something.
The only thing is that we at our last meeting, this did come up. There is the possibility of creating a something that would parallel the MBTA commuter rail.
you could put that in the same sentence, basically,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
Maybe what we could do is we could just flag, a safe cross, if one intersection had to be prioritized over others, a grade separated crossing at Route 62, either over or under Route 2 for pedestrians and cyclists would be the most critical for the community or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we have time to kind of kick this around a little bit now. When I read through this multiple times, one of the things that somehow stuck for me that I wasn't quite perfectly comfortable with was there's a strong desire and urgent need for grade separated crossings, and making it a little bit more specific in terms of a recommendation at Main Street might actually uh, might actually make it more of a suggestion that gets traction, because if they start saying You mean you want 3 or 4 grade separated crossings all at once? That's kind of like, okay, that's not going to happen right away. But if you take the opportunity to highlight one, maybe some concepts can be developed.
I think the truth is, that's a great point, is that if we had a really great crossing on Main Street, we could remove all of our objections about the additional lanes at the other place, everywhere, right?
Well, maybe not everywhere, but certainly at that.
Yeah, no, but it would
intersection.
certainly lessen the need. It would. I'm not saying it right, but I think we know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Yeah.
it would create it would accomplish a lot of things.
Yeah.
And being focused is important. So does anyone? And I'll wait till Laura finishes typing.
I don't know. I'm just trying. I can't speak out
Laura,
loud.
I think it would be better to give a specific, instead of just saying grade separated crossing, a pedestrian cyclist bridge across route, across Route 2 at Main Street. No, just give one example. Don't make it. Just they can come up with alternatives.
I think yeah. I think a
Say pedestrian bridge,
for example, or just a pedestrian cyclist bridge and cyclists to cross Main Street.
over Route 2 at Main Street.
Yeah, at Main Street. Okay, so I mean, I think yeah, I think that's a great short sentence that spurs thoughts, and then they can get some engineers to look at what that would cost, what that would
Yeah, if you
involve.
wanted to mention the other thing, you could just put in another sentence about the bike rail, whatever you call that, bike width rail, I forget.
Yeah, I would separate. To me, it's less confusing to separate the railroad issue and more useful to separate it from this statement. Oh yeah, good.
Yeah.
It's at least a
Because
separate
that one,
sentence.
the tunnel's already there.
Right. And
That
see,
doesn't cost them anything.
tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, create what you could say creation of a trail besides the MBTA commuter rail line using
Might
the
also
same
be an effective.
that might also
solution.
be an effective alternative or something.
Solution.
Yeah.
And particularly where the MBTA crosses under Route 2, right?
Yeah.
Right, that's the
Yeah.
nearest. That's right there. Yeah. I think,
So you could say beside the MBTA commuter rail where it passes under Route 2. Because we want to get the most clarity and kind of bullseye focus with the fewest words to make sure it gets across not only to the MassDOT and the consultant, but also to our political leadership in the town and in the state. The clearer it is, the more they can use it, I think, to say, what about this? What about that?
Do we like this language?
Yeah, and you could also add one other thing here. I really like it, but let's see, might be an effective solution for enhancing crosstown connectivity
Between our village.
while providing, hold me with this. I'm trying to say, giving them more freedom for the design of the intersection for traffic, for motor vehicles.
Well, you could just say separation of pedestrian and cycling traffic from motor traffic.
A solution like this would provide more possibilities for re-engineering the motor vehicle needs of the intersection. Yeah. Per period, in this intersection, period.
or you could just say for the motor vehicle intersection. I don't know, or
Oh, no, that's
this,
fine. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is good.
I don't know if you like that.
I don't think so. I wouldn't.
I don't think you need it. It's okay, but I don't think we
Okay.
need it. Again, I think you know,
Let's
the
not
what
overly wordsmith it then. I'm happy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
good.
think
I
it's
like
good.
this. That's good.
It's
Okay,
good.
I think that's good enough. I say let's leave that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
And is this modification okay?
I think it's great. And okay, I just want to again, just because it's there's something that I want to make sure we state this as much as possible in a objective and supportable way. Is everybody comfortable with the particular wording that says there's a strong desire? It is clear from our discussions and surveys with Concord residents that there's a strong desire and urgent need for grade separated crossings. So the only thing I'm questioning, and I'm not saying I disagree with it, I'm just wondering if if it's the best wording. There is a strong desire and
Well,
urgent need.
yeah, I think this is overstating what we got. We never had, people never said to us, or maybe individuals did, but we didn't have a document that said, oh, everyone in town says they want a grade separated crossing. What they really said is we want a safer crossing. Okay, so I think we're overstating the situation when we say the residents said they wanted grade separated. That's our reaction to what they said.
Okay, so instead of, I mean, we said grade separated crossings in the title of the section. So you would say urgent need for safer crossing for pedestrians and cyclists, or you know what I'm saying? I'm a
I
little
know
bit.
It did come up in the notes from the meeting. I think a lot of people said bridge over Route 2, bridge over Route 2. We'd have to look back at the data
Mhm, mhm.
in the consultant package, but I think at least hearing it, people saying it at that meeting last fall.
Yeah.
I heard people asking for a bridge over Route 2.
Well, could we,
but you know, people have fantasies about a lot of things that are impractical. I think we're really pushing it too hard if we say the town wants a bridge. Yeah, I think it's okay to suggest it, but
I think that
Laura?
we could just shift this sentence
Yeah,
so
I
it's
think
not about.
safer covers it.
I think that we could shift this sentence so it's not about the feedback we've gotten from residents, which we talk about earlier in a more general way, that people want safer crossings. I think we should shift this to being that our committee strongly feels that grade separated crossings would support, you know, the needs of Concord residents and business
or
owners.
is the most effective solution for achieving all the goals.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's really a good way to emphasize it.
That's a simple way.
Yeah, Harbor Committee has identified an urgent need.
Yeah, okay.
For grade separate crossings, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's also one of those things where, you know, by advocating for some clearly defined possibility, it spurs, it spurs, it gives attention, focuses attention on, you know, one of the most important aspects instead of, well, we're going to deal with the motorists and then we'll add that in as a separate possibility as a subsection in the design. We really need it as the first thing to be decided, is how you get the vulnerable users across, and then deal with the motorists, I think.
Did you have any others, Laura, in terms of duplication?
Let's just reconcile the comments up above so that we've got a clean draft here. So this was one of Mark's recommendations.
Yeah,
I had something on that.
Go ahead, Nick.
I think the main problem with that 2 lanes, I hadn't thought of this until Mark brought it up at the last meeting, is 2-lane merging into one. But the problem that's going to create, right now, there's a problem because the storage lane overflows and traffic wanting to turn left just stops in the passing lane on Route 2.
Mhm.
If they put in 2 lanes, what's going to happen is it's going to dump that problem into the middle of the intersection because there's no place to go, right?
Well,
They're going to actually make the traffic much worse. So
Nick,
what I
what
came up
the,
with,
sorry,
hold on, what I came up with is
go ahead.
we fear that the proposed concept will move the current congestion of the single storage lane into the intersection itself.
Okay, let me point something out. When I looked at the plan drawing for that, what I saw was 2 left turn lanes on Route 2 heading northwest and entering the intersection. And then when they would turn into Main Street going towards West Concord, they actually put in 2 lanes, which also have to accommodate the slip lane from the other direction on Route 2, people turning right towards Concord Center. I was West Concord Center. And then they kind of fudge it a little bit because the right now that road 62 going into West Concord Center is 1 lane. And they're basically pushing the problem onto the town to figure out how to change from 2 lanes to 1 lane. We could bring up the picture and look, but basically, Nick, they're
Right.
implicitly saying if we have 2 left turn lanes, we have to feed them into 2 lanes on 62 going west, but they're not addressing the important question of how are those 2 lanes going to merge together into 1 lane for the rest of the visit. That's what I was trying to point
Right,
out.
so you could
So
say something, so we could say something about the existing right of way being inadequate to absorb 2 lanes. Turning onto Main Street.
yeah, let me
It's
see.
a really good point.
Why don't you guys think about it a little bit while I see if I can quickly get the drawing.
So I'm sorry, I unshared my screen here. I can get the drawing of it.
Okay.
One of the things that, and maybe Mark was at the presentation that I was at.
I was at the first one of the 2
Yeah,
public transport.
one of the reasons that I worded the thing that I worded in my original draft is, and I'm just gonna pull that up to help. Is it is my recollection, and because there's no recording of that meeting, it's hard. I was not able to reference it, but it's my recollection that the MassDOT representative who was presenting actually alluded to a concern that they had while creating this intersection design, that it might cause more traffic on Route 62. They were not very specific about why. And so I don't think we need to be super specific about why. I think that, I kind of kept it vague here. I said that, there's already significant congestion along Route 62 during peak hours. Facilitating easier highway access to Main Street could intensify that congestion. I don't think we need to get into the intersection specifics. We're not, I think that they will be able to poke holes in any of the specific arguments that we give them. But I do remember that the MassDOT person said, like, this could potentially be a problem. And if we're just echoing that back at them, I think that they're gonna have their
I
own
think I
solutions.
remember that discussion, and he said that there could be a problem, but then he said we think, I mean, you could argue with this, but he said then we think all of these enhancements we're proposing will increase throughput, so people will have less motivation to take a shortcut through West Concord. That's what he said.
Right, I
So,
think you're right.
but I think so, but I think that this issue about 2 lanes into 1 is very important to point out. Otherwise, we have a risk that they're going to dump this problem on the town if they just say, well, we're putting in the 2 lanes. I mean, we can't stop them. I do think so I think we've got to say something about it. And has anyone come up with a picture? Or maybe I've got it. I don't know.
I have
else
the
do-
picture. Hold on. My computer is making a worrying noise, so if I disappear, please know that that's why. All right, what specifically were we looking at in this intersection? This was design concept 1, which would add only one turning lane, and it makes some modifications here, remove channelized right turn lane. And then concept 2 was the one that included the
Yes,
dual
that one.
left turn lane.
Yeah, so they show 2 lanes once you're onto 62, but then they're down to 1 lane after the slip lane comes in from Route 2 east. Yep, so that's the problem right there.
Yeah, I don't know if
and
it would be worth adding in there that there have been attempts to widen Route 62 in the past, and those have been defeated by residents because they don't want.
No, they're going to say that's your problem. No, I think that you've got to make the point. I'm just fear if they ever went ahead and did this, we're just going to have traffic backing up on Main Street right into the intersection, which is going to be far worse than what we have now.
Yeah.
So, what did I have? I had.
It's just that it's very complicated. Like the reason that traffic backs up on Main Street has to do with the at-grade railroad crossing. When that railroad crossing goes down, it backs up Main Street all along that section. There's a lot of stuff at play, so I feel like we don't need to get into specifics except to say like, this is a bad idea. There's already terrible congestion here.
I think you got to point it out to them why. Okay.
Okay.
So here's my suggestion. We fear that the proposed concept will move the current congestion of the single storage lane into the intersection itself due to the narrowness of Route 62.
Okay, I'm gonna get my shared screen up here again, and then I will transcribe it as you say
Okay.
it. Okay. So
We fear that the proposed concept will move the current congestion
it's design
Does it-
concept number 2.
Yeah, that's good. That design concept number 2 will move the current congestion of the single storage lane into the intersection itself due to the narrow nature of Route 62, or due to the narrow right-of-way of Route 62.
Any suggestions or
I'm muted. I just said a couple things to myself. I think it's important to highlight that the continuation of Route 62 to West Concord Center is a single lane, to put that in there somehow. It's an effort, and
Put it as a second sentence, a new sentence.
Yeah, you're actually taking 3 sources of traffic: the slip lane from the west and 2 left turn lanes from the westbound Route 2, and you're feeding it all into what, as soon as it gets out of the MassDOT area of 2 lanes, as they show, is going to be 1. So I think it's fine, single surge lane. To just mention something about that, Route 62 is single lane, and historically town has not wide.
I would put it right after Main Street. I would put what Mark is saying right there. It should be noted that Route 62 is a 2-lane road.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would take out the word nature by the way. It's narrow. Right.
Due to the narrow, and again, now whether we're talking about right of way,
it's the whole right of the problem is the right of way itself is narrow there. You can't just add lanes.
Yeah, and another concern I had was, we're getting kind of into the details, but I think it is important because this is in a way the most important intersection we're talking about. Uh, adding that second westbound lane doesn't solve the problem because the rest of the road going west, Main Street is one lane. Plus, it kind of interferes with pedestrian and bicycle facilities there because you're right at this critical juncture, you're eating up
Listen,
space.
I'm just reluctant to make this more complicated.
No, 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 no. I
paragraph.
think this is fine. I think this is fine. As long as we highlight that this should not be taken as a uh finished solution. Anyone who needs to can kind of ask more questions.
So I think we're just duplicating our,
Yeah,
so we already say it's 2 lanes and it's going to 1 lane to match the road into West Concord Center. I don't think that
oh,
we
good.
need
Yeah,
to
yeah,
say
yeah,
that
yeah.
here.
Yeah, we don't need to say that.
So I
Okay.
think
The
we should just
meaning-
leave it as is.
Okay,
I like
good, good, good.
Nick's
Okay,
modification. I think we should just leave it like this.
Good.
Okay,
I'm with it.
I think you're right. Let me just quickly read it through in case there's a tweak of something. Pretty concerned about proposal how to do a left turn. Yeah, and as far as moving the congestion into the intersection itself, the back up there is even worse than back up in the, well, anyway, it's equally bad.
Okay,
It's equally bad.
Okay.
Okay. I like it.
okay, we're, okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna come back up here and make sure that that we have agreement on this second section that received the most amount of changes.
Yeah.
Is this combined heading appropriate? Future changes to Route 2 should enhance, not diminish, crosstown connectivity for all road users.
Yeah, I'm good with this.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. So-
I'll just you point out, my thought here is that it's important to use this opportunity to state high level goals that should be metrics for rating alternatives. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of a lasting benefit of our input
Yeah.
is to give people these major question points. So I like it.
Okay, I have one substantive thing I want to get to.
Well, let's just, I
And
want to just,
suspect we're gonna need time to just kind of read through this whole thing individually, so, and there's already 35 minutes into the meeting, so I'd like to get mine on the table.
can we just finish this section so we've
Sure.
come to consensus?
Yeah,
Do
let's
we accept-
finish one point.
Do we accept or reject this edit?
Yep, I'm good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's 2023 we did the survey.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And I just wanted to point out in one place that it wasn't just residents. We talked to
Right.
town employees as well and business owners.
Right. Town usually capitalized town employees.
This is moved up from a different section.
I don't think you need which are critical for local travel. That's obvious by how much we're talking about it.
Good suggestion.
And instead of which could potentially raise, you could just say and could potentially raise. Or
Sorry, can you say that again? You cut out a little bit, Mark.
okay, increases the time they spend crossing these intersections. And I'm just saying the word which versus and, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's good.
And, or you can just say, yeah, and could, or and might, or
Yeah,
just,
which is a poor word to use just stylistically.
yeah, just say and, because it's not clear what which refers to, so. But it's clear what we mean if we just say it could, it may raise the risk of collision, yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of debates about what's safer.
Okay. What's up for question now? Oh, I'm sorry.
We're just kind of
Just
reading through.
Just
the-
this next edit, if you have any suggestions, this, while we acknowledge paragraph.
I like it. I think, I mean, in the context here, it's pretty clear what it's saying is, again, this point about don't design for cars and then paint something in for pedestrians and
Right,
cyclists.
right. No, it's good. I like it.
I think it's good.
And then I just took a bit of your your paragraph here, Nick, and kind of helped bring that to conclusion.
Right. Okay.
So we like these sections? Are they yes?
Let me just read the green here again. We're not full sufficient.
Right.
They're just a wordsmithing thing. So we're doubtful that sufficient mitigation strategy would emerge. That would adequately. Anyway, that and that, I think it's okay. It's not.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a better way to say it.
It wasn't my most beautiful sentence I've ever written.
No, but it's okay. I think it's fine. The point gets across. All right. No, I like it.
All right. So this was basically a duplication of that, so I
It's
took it all
redundant.
out.
Yeah, it's all redundant.
Yeah, this is great too. I think, you know, we got a strong consensus that making it, sharpening it up, tightening it up is going to make it more effective. So that's good.
And then much of this about Route 2 serving as a dividing line is actually said in the conclusion. So
Right.
I thought that that
Right.
was fine to leave it there since we kind of already talked about it up above.
Yep, I agree.
So then we have these changes. This is just a housekeeping thing. And then, so how do we feel about this section?
Can I just ask, what is a pedestrian refuge area? I think I know, but I'm not sure.
It's a
So a
place you
pede-
can stop halfway across the street and feel safe.
So you only have to cross, you're,
If
You
you
were,
get caught, if you get caught, if the light changes suddenly and you didn't expect it, or you were gambling and you lost, you've got a place you can stop and not feel.
Okay, so DOT, this is a term that they're gonna know what it is.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Great, thanks.
Or let's just say I would hope.
yeah, I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
They can always ask us. Uh,
That was just a bit of wordsmithing.
Shorten crossing distances, that wasn't in mine, right?
That was not in yours, but it was in their proposal for the Walden Street intersection to shorten the crossing distance. And it was one of the things that we talked about last
Right.
time.
Okay, okay.
Wishing
Yeah,
that they would
okay.
apply to more of the intersections.
I think it's
Right.
it's good to hammer on things that make sense to everybody without getting into too much detail. So I think
Okay,
it's good.
okay.
Time for yeah.
All right, I'm gonna start accepting these changes.
Yeah.
When we say one thing about the D operation management plan for traffic signals, what does the word route mean there? I mean, it's just all traffic signals, or why is the word route there? It's not clear to me what that means in D.
Oh, I
Yeah.
should have Route 2. I thought it said Route 2 originally.
Okay. Yep.
And I actually would love for you to say a bit more about what you mean on the operation and management plan, because this wasn't
I
immediately
think
apparent.
that's a term that's well understood by engineers. It's basically, for instance, I'm on the Natural Resources Committee, and sometimes when someone's putting a proposal together for something like snow removal, we will say, we want to see an operations and management plan that says how you're going to do that so that you're not accumulating snow in the wetlands area.
Got it.
So it's well understood by people who do projects, engineering projects. And that should be D, it's one of the requirements for.
Yeah,
requesting.
no. I'm having a problem with the formatting, but I'll fix
Okay,
it.
good. Good.
Looks good.
This is a paragraph that I don't believe I reallocated. I just deleted it. And if anybody feels
Yeah.
strongly about
No,
that.
I'm fine.
No,
with
I
that.
think we've said enough about that.
Okay. That's how I felt as well. Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, be careful, slow down.
No, I'm just frustrated.
Well, I know,
There we go.
Okay, you did it.
There we go.
Oh, you lost it again.
There we go. Now we got it.
Okay.
All right, and I'm going to take these highlights out because they are now
Okay.
just part of. All right, so that it resolves all of the, oh, wait, hold on, there's one more. Oh, I just added an S there.
Yeah.
Oh, we already went through this section. I just didn't adequately. Okay, and we will unhighlight this section as well. All right, the only other suggestion that I had is I thought we could CC a few more people. We don't have the select
Mm.
board in here. And if we wanted to go further, we could.
If we're a 1-hour meeting, we only have 15 minutes, and I have one substantive thing I wanted to talk
Okay,
about.
sure, go ahead, Nick.
Okay, so it's down where you're talking about the Elm Street, Baker Ave extensions. Okay, just want to. Okay, it's down where it says the second paragraph that says, however, we strongly oppose design concepts 2 and 3. I raised an objection to that statement at the previous meeting, and the conversation sort of wandered off, and we never resolved that.
Okay.
I think that design at that intersection, I think it's basically a much improved design for safety reasons. I think the left turn they're proposing onto Baker Ave is an important way of, for instance, of getting people to the developments on Baker Ave extension, especially the new housing that's going in. So I don't want to, as a committee, I don't want to object to the fact that they're trying to make, we're for transportation, not just pedestrians, right? We've got to do things to make it easy for people who have cars to get places too. So I don't want the committee to object to them making improvements here that are going to make it possible to take left turns onto Baker Ave extension from Route 2 West. I also think that the improvements they're putting in on Elm Street itself to eliminate that merge is a very important one.
Well, I do want to point out that we were in favor of design concept 1, which does develop a left turn lane.
Okay.
And it's design concept 2, which added a third through lane.
Well, yeah, you need that though. You need 2 through lanes, don't you?
Well, this would allow for 1 through lane, 1 through right turn lane, and 1 left turn lane.
Say it again. Yeah, I'm
So-
okay with 1 left turn lane.
In this scenario, I'll zoom in a little bit. This is a through lane, but you can also take a right.
Right.
The through lane and only a through lane, and this is a left turn only lane.
I'm good with that design. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's design concept 1, which we said was a good idea.
Right.
And design concept 2 added to that a second through lane so
Okay,
that there
then-
would be
okay,
4 lanes
okay.
instead of 3.
Okay. Okay, then I think we should change the wording of the paragraph to say that we support design concept 1, but we reject or we do not support design concepts 2 and 3. period.
Or we could just say however.
Yeah, right. However,
We, and do we, is the word strongly helpful or not? I
yeah,
don't,
it's a,
I mean,
I would-
sometimes
yeah,
it's,
strongly, it's that, yeah, there's a a basic thing in style, which is intensifiers weaken. So I would take out strongly. We oppose.
yeah, we oppose is actually stronger, I think.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so let me just see if I had whatever else I had. Okay, that's it. Okay.
We could say we generally support the improvements.
Well, no, we support. Wait,
I
Okay,
think I think it's okay. This is such a complicated intersection and it's going to interact with a lot of other things, including the Baker Ave developments and even the adjacent MCI and the road, I mean, they're not that far apart. So we got to stay high level, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you got to give your opponent something.
Yes,
You
it helps.
can't reject everything or have qualified agreement, qualified
Right.
support.
Terry, did you have your hand up or did I? Yes, go ahead, Terry.
Yes, I thought you were moving on. So that's why I took my hand down. My question is just about who is being copied on the letter. So I'm not sure you are up to that yet.
Okay, yeah, I also want to review that, so we'll get to that.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'm done with my feedback. So are we clean now, Laura? Nothing?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Great.
so
Wow, that's great work. Okay, so in terms of the who's copied, obviously the letter can be forwarded later to other people, and it's sort of traditional to put the state reps first. I don't know if it's traditional to put the senator before the representatives. We should also put town engineer Steve Dukron on the list. And do we have okay, Concord Select Board first is great. So Terry, what was your comment or concern about the copied list?
Right. Looks great. Just add town manager.
Yes, yes. I would, yeah, I would put town manager right after select board. Select
Right.
board town manager. That's the top of the town.
Oh, I see.
Do we need to put in Concord town manager or Concord? I think it's probably fine. We have town of Concord at the top, so town means
Right.
town. It's fine.
How do you feel about adding Monica Tibbetts Nuts and Tibbetts Nut and Melissa Hoffer to the list of CCs?
I think it's
I don't
fine.
think there's any chance they'll see it, but
Yeah, I think it's fine. It is sometimes it can in my opinion, it can enhance the attention that something gets from people in a state agency if they see that
Okay.
some other powerful people in the state have a copy. They know for sure they have a copy, whether they've really read it or not.
yeah, okay, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I think that's great.
All right, I think that it's good. The only thing I was going to go through is make sure that our capitalization is consistent, because Route 2 is sometimes capitalized and sometimes not, and committee is sometimes capitalized and sometimes not. So I was just going to go through that and fix that, but I can do that, and then I can send it. What are the mechanics of how this gets sent, Mark?
Send it to Elizabeth and Heather and
Okay.
It's got to go
the,
in by tomorrow, so you can't just send it. You've got to follow up and talk to someone and make sure that they're going to hit the deadline, that they tell you that.
yeah, if you can, within the next hour, send it to Elizabeth and Heather and copy me. I will follow up. Make
So
sure it gets,
you will make sure it happens, Mark?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yes,
And-
Mark, if you can be the responsible party, that would be great. I can forward it to our representatives and our senator directly. If that's
No, it should go
helpful.
through channels.
Okay.
Yeah, let's, Heather, are you live on the call? Can you advise us, I guess, again, about how to make sure this gets in? So the deadline is the 25th, but we'd like to make sure it goes out today or tomorrow.
I can follow up with Elizabeth and we can make sure it gets out.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so
And-
it's not, so the important thing here is it's got to get to the right place in MassDOT by a certain time.
Okay.
Okay, so we got to make sure it gets to that place, not just goes out by email. They may have a website where you've got to upload it to. I don't know how that works. But
They
yeah.
have a
Okay.
they have a website. They have a website. Yeah.
Yeah, so I suspect
So-
you've got to upload this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can absolutely do that.
Yeah. If you search mass dot route to corridor study, there's a response page linked from that. And if there's any questions, Heather, just call me
Okay.
and we'll figure it out.
So Mark, I would move to accept the letter as written with a few capitalization changes. If somebody wants to second that.
Second,
Okay. How do we vote? Nick,
I,
Laura,
Aye.
Mariana,
I,
and myself, I. So it's unanimous.
oh, is somebody taking minutes?
Well, I think for this meeting of
All
the
the
last.
minutes have to say is that we agreed to this.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'll try for the August 5th, the August 1st meeting, besides the previous meeting I'm working on, to do those 2 minutes because those are very brief. I think just
Okay.
say we discussed and finalized the letter.
Okay,
And at the previous meeting, we continued it to this meeting.
okay, good.
That's certainly sufficient.
Yep.
The document itself is really what's important. So if there are no more comments from tech members, I'll ask our select board liaison, Terry Ackerman, to offer comments. I don't see any members of the public. Heather, do you see anybody?
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Terry. You have the
I
floor.
just want to thank everybody for holding this meeting. I know this was an extra meeting for you guys, and it's a super important letter. Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry. And thanks
Thanks,
to
Terry.
everybody. Okay, so I will close the meeting then. We finished our agenda.